Thanks for joining the Anthony Atias Experience. My name is Anthony Atias. I am the host of this podcast. I've got some friends that I've known for a really long time, and I'm super excited to have them on. I've got Larry and Sheris Rice, who are the owners of Kika Stretch Studios, Charlotte. They've been married for over 15 years. They've got two boys, and they also have two full-time jobs. And I think the great thing about this story is they're ordinary people who have created extraordinary life for themselves. And that's what this podcast is about. So we're going to talk about their journey, how they got there, the challenges, the wins, and then hopefully you can be inspired by their story. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. As always, I start with my first question, and I'm gonna throw it over to you, Shares. I'm always curious, what are people's like upbringing, what their childhood is like? What was yours like?
Oh, so I mean, my childhood was great. I can't complain. It was a two-parent household. I have an older brother. He's about 22 months older than I am, so we were very close. My family in general, in immediate and outside of that, is very, very close. So we're like every other family. We had to work, we had to do chores. We had to, church. Like we were kind of latchkey kids. I would say that. Like both of my parents worked, and so my brother and I, we were home. That's how it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So you kind of just home. You did your homework before you watched TV. You did your chores. Like, so that's kind of how I was brought up.
That's awesome. How about you, Larry?
Yeah, a lot of the same things, like she said, coming up in the 80s, it was a different time, and same thing, I had both my parents, both of my parents were hard workers. Both my dad was a blue collar worker. My mom also, she did all kinds of things as far as, working with her hands. She was a creative. And for many years, they both just, they put in a lot of hard work. Both are retired now, so happy about that. But the one thing that I do remember mostly about, my growing up was the fact that I didn't have any brothers or sisters. It was just myself. So everything that, needed to be done, it was on me, so if something broke, it was my fault. And I couldn't blame it on anybody else.
Right.
So, and so what that did is it taught me, just, understanding that, when there's something on you, it's yours. You got to own it. Right. And so, but no, it was a great childhood. Everything about my childhood that, nothing crazy. I appreciate my parents so much. They inspire me even to this day. So very thankful and blessed to have my parents and the upbringing that I had. So
no, that's awesome. So obviously you guys went through the typical general path. You went to school, your careers blossomed. So I'm curious, at what point did the intersection happen? When did you guys meet, or how did you meet?
Oh man, you mind if I tell this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to school, like you said, went to college, and came home, and the typical, came home from college and got a job. Started working in the insurance industry. I was working in radio at Kiss 95. Did a little internship. And I remember distinctly not getting paid at that internship. But I liked it. It was fun. And but Allstate called me because I had applied. A friend of mine had a job there, and he called me, and he was like, "Hey, we're hiring." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, we'll see what happens." And probably about maybe 3 months later, they called, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not getting paid over here. This insurance job is going to pay me." So I got started at Allstate, and I've been in insurance since. Oh, wow. So that was well over 20 years ago. So the reason I tell that story is because eventually I went from Allstate to the Hartford Insurance, where I started working. And that's where I met this beautiful lady right here. We
Aw.
started working together, and we worked in different departments. And
Okay.
the thing about it is that we both went to high school in the same county, different high schools, but they were in the same county. And
So our paths crossed.
our paths crossed. I knew of her, but I didn't know her, right? I
Okay.
didn't, again, it was nothing like I knew her face. So when I saw her at the Hartford, I was like, hey, you know what? You look very familiar. And that's when we started talking that, we were both from the same county, and knew some of the same people.
We were friends with.
Yeah.
I was friends with his best friends.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. She was friends with my best friend's girlfriend at the time.
Mhm.
So it was like a lot of these things that we had in common. And so,
And Larry and I used to work together.
yeah, and then my other friends, they used to work together when they were in high school. So, but I never met her during those times.
Really?
It was
Wow.
crazy. But I never met her. And so, but we did cross paths at the Hartford where we worked. And, and I think the relationship just kind of blossomed from there. So yeah, it was cool.
We were best friends.
We were definitely friends before, anything else. And I think that is something that is, really kind of stood the test of time in our relationship, is just that friendship. You got to have that friendship. So definitely got to have that friendship. Got to have it.
It's interesting you say that. I can't remember who it was. I think it was recently TD Jakes talked about the importance of in marriage at the core being friends.
Yes.
Which is important.
Yeah.
So you guys, obviously, like you said, you're friends. The friendship grew, and you became close, obviously, as friends. You got married. Did you always think that you would be in like this career phase where you'll be in a job, not necessarily going down an entrepreneurial path? Did you always say, okay, we'll just head down this path and that'll be it?
I mean, I'm not sure that we always knew that we were going to head down that path. I think that was the path, right? So like, as you grow up, you see your parents work, they work 9 to 5. Like, so you just kind of follow suit. My mom was in corporate America. My dad was a blue collar worker. So like, I just saw them always going to work. So I think for me, it was, you go to work and that's just what you do. Like, I don't think I had a desire necessarily to be an entrepreneur. I think it was more have a good job, be successful, have a family. Like, I think that was my goal. And so I think Larry, you were probably more, he was probably more of the creative, and he always wanted, I think I thought at one point, maybe I'll, have a restaurant business. Like, maybe I'll go into doing something like that. But
hospitality, you were all about the hospitality in that. Yeah. But I think I was more, of the, I know I wanted a business. I always, and I always dreamt about the idea of creating something that made money, or providing something that made money, right? That was always a goal, and I knew that from a business standpoint, that's something that that was something I always dreamt about. For me, it was always I always wanted a place where people could come and feel fulfilled, right? I'll be honest with you, I always wanted a bar. I remember watching Cheers as a kid, right? The show Cheers, and was thinking like, man, the same people come in there all the time, and they seem to have fun, right? They know what they were talking about. As a kid, I was like, I don't know what, but they just seem to, everybody has fun. And even the theme song to it was always appealing. So I had this dream about having a bar, and owning a bar. So that was something that I always had. And then I grew up with a lot of friends who were creatives as well. And we would always talk about, having our own business or doing, different things, and just having those that creative mind. So business was always something that I knew I wanted to do. I didn't know where it was going or how, but I knew it was something that I wanted to have for my own. But I, like Sheris, went to school, worked, after school worked, tried to, I did throw some good parties. We We did.
Yes.
We did throw some good parties.
Absolutely. Those are the days.
Yeah. So there was, when we were younger, we did throw some good parties, promoting parties and those types of things. So, and I think, honestly, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that was sort of, once you see, again, providing something for people and that people are having a good time. That was the one thing that I enjoyed about that. When people came to our events that we would throw and walk away and they're like, oh man, I had so much fun. When are y'all going to do the next one? That part was always thrilling for me. So I think that was something that, kind of, catapulted me into, okay, what's next? What else can we do? What else can I do, that provide, money or income from a business standpoint?
No, that's great. And Sheris, you talked about the path. So at what point did you guys say, you know what, there's something out there that we probably need to go and check out, meaning Kika Stretch? Or was it like where you guys were like, what if we start a business, but you didn't know what it was? Like, which came first? Did you hear about Kika and then decide to go for it? Or did you say, hey, let's start a business, we don't know what it is, and go for it?
So ironically enough, I think we both wanted to get out of corporate America. Like, we've been in corporate America for like 20 plus years. So I think our goal was like, how do we create generational wealth, but at the same time doing something that we really enjoy? So, Larry and I used to stretch anyway. So like, I would come home and I would be stressed, and he'd be like, oh, okay, well, let's just get on the floor and stretch. Like, let's just do some stretching techniques that he used to do, like when he played sports. And so that worked. And I remember one night, we were having a conversation and we were like, we should open up some type of studio, like where someone could come and they could get stretched. They could just go into a room and relax. Like, there would be music. Like, we had an idea of kind of what, and we were just talking, like we were saying, like,
dreaming.
And then fast forward, I think Larry was just looking up Black-owned businesses, and he found Kika Stretch Studios, and we were like, okay, that sounds pretty perfect. And then we went to New Jersey, which is where their home office, or where they started. So we went and we got stretched, and that was 2019, and we were like, yep, we're in. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Like, we knew. And this, it is exactly what we said we wanted. Like, we wanted a place where people could come and kind of be their authentic selves, because there's not a lot of places like that, and feel good and be relaxed. And so when they leave, they felt really good about being here, and that's where we are today.
I think that's one of the most inspiring things about your story, because like just what you just said, Sheris, where you said that, okay, you guys did the stretching and then you were like, let's do it. Now there's a lot of people out there who say it, but then taking that leap of faith is probably one of the hardest things for people. So what was it that you guys had in you that said, you know what, we're going to do it? Because trust me, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
I will just say that I don't think everything happened in a blur. Like, it just kind of, everything kind of fell into place. Larry is the creative. Like, he is definitely the creative and the visionary. I am the executioner in the, like, so you tell me what you want to do and I will execute it. So that is just kind of how our relationship works. And through everything, like, he has a dream and then I execute his dream. So I think with this, we both knew that it was something, like, I think it spoke to us. And then I think we just did it, Anthony, to be honest with you. Even as of our soft opening, I was just like, we're doing this, like, this, it's happening tomorrow.
It was very surreal. Like,
like, we just
what
put
happened?
the pieces in
We're
place.
Here. Yeah.
And I think because both of us work in, like, we've been in training, we've been in, like, management, like procedural updates and like creating procedures and
project
that type of
management.
thing.
Yeah.
I think all of our work over the last 20 years in corporate America has led us to this point. We're like, okay, well, we're doing it every day. We can do it in our own business too.
Yeah, I think that, like, that's a great point, because, I'll take it back a step further too, because just to kind of put things into context as far as, our relationship and how that all worked, like what she's talked about as far as me being the visionary and her being, the executioner. So, I've always joked that, the show WandaVision, that I'm Vision and she's Wanda, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and it's truly like that. So even like our wedding, we did it ourselves. Like we planned it. We didn't hire a wedding planner. We did it ourselves. And I think, but the crazy thing is that it was never a thing that it just happened naturally, right?
It's very organic.
It was just very organic. It just happened. It was like, well, we could do that, right? And so we essentially were kind of project managing ourselves, right? And so, and I think the one thing that I appreciated about her was the fact that she was a lot like I was afraid of failure, but I was the one that was, okay, let's just do it. Let's just jump. Right. And she would look at me and be like, okay, all right, I'm riding with you. I'm gonna ride out with you. And that's what I love about her. And that's what I appreciate about her, because, you can't have a vision without someone trusting that vision. Yeah. And trusting in your dreams. And I think that that's been something that has really grounded and been the cornerstone to our relationship. So going into business and doing what we did and doing, what we're doing now, it's been tough. There's been challenges, but because of that friendship, because of us understanding our strengths and weaknesses, where she's strong, I might be weak, and where I'm strong and she's weak, playing off of one another has been something that has helped us grow in our relationship, but it also helped us grow as entrepreneurs as well. So it's definitely something, when you think about a partnership in business, that you have to recognize that's not my strong suit, right? That's not where I'm best at. And we either got to find someone to do that, or you got to step up and do it, because it's not mine, and own that, right? And so that's something that I think is without an ego.
Egos.
Yeah.
Without egos, right?
Yeah.
Without, bringing it up and making it something that is an issue or, in the relationship. So luckily that has not affected us in a way where, our relationship, where our marriage, this business has not done that. It has the potential to, definitely. But I think that's where the communication comes in, the understanding that this is the business. It's an outside entity to our marriage, right? So this business can go, right? Our marriage comes first.
Yeah. No, that's a powerful statement. You went to New Jersey. You connected with the owner, and what point did you guys? Because I think when I think about you guys owning the business, I'm thinking about, there's payroll, there's like all these aspects of business. Like, how did you guys learn all that? Like, was it on the job learning? Because sometimes I think what happens is people will do research, and before you know it, years gone by and you're still researching. So like, talk me through, and even I'm sure the audience will want to know, like, all these certain aspects of running a business. Where did you guys learn all that stuff from?
I'll let you take that one.
I mean, it was trial and error. I think a lot of it is really, like, I don't know. So I would say, because it's a franchise, like, they give you guidelines, right? So that, you make sure you do this, but they don't really tell you about like how to get your sales or how to go about your employees in the interview process. Luckily, we interview already in our day-to-day life. So like, we know what it looks like. We know what that means. But I do remember the first time that I got like a W-2, and I was like, whoa, like, I have payroll to do. Like, I have like information, like I have to put it in. And that was a little bit surreal for me. Even still, when I'm doing payroll, I'm like, whoa, like this is serious. Like, you have to make sure that you put all of the tax information in, like you have your workers' comp information. Like, so I think because we're in insurance, like we know the ins and outs about the insurance aspect. And then, I don't know, like the rest of it, I think trial and error.
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
Again.
You know, talking to people,
Yeah.
you know, just getting an understanding, having those close relationships with other studio owners that we can ask questions like, how did you do this? Like, what does that look like in the state that you're in? Knowing some of what the laws look like that's not my background. So you have to do research. And we both know, like, so I'm the admin, I'm the operational person. Larry's more of the physical person.
And the marketing.
And marketing, right. So we have our role to play, but,
Great.
you know.
Yeah. We have our roles. And I think that we both are fast learners, right? And I think that we both are, we get to a point to where, you know, the challenge is learning something new, right? The challenge is taking on something new and not being afraid of that challenge, right? And taking that, you know, so like she said, like with a lot of the business stuff, the admin stuff, like I try to, like, that's her strong suit.
I'm an operations manager.
She's an operations manager.
Day to day.
And I'm more of a program manager, my day to day. And so managing people and those different things. And so that's definitely something that, you know, I do. And just, you know, in relationship building is definitely something that I learned, you know, by working in insurance. You know, with agents and brokers and, you know, outside customers. So that's definitely something that we take from, you know, working in corporate, and the professionalism is very, 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 very important. Right. And so that's something that we had to learn over the years. And so just trying to bring that into the business has been something that has been a little bit easier for us because of our backgrounds. So, I think that, you know, it's, you know, to say it in a, you know, I think it feels spiritual, right? It's just something that we didn't know what was happening, but it's been happening, right? And so if you pray over something, you believe in it. We even did a vision board. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know anything about, you know, running a business, you know, like a real franchise business. But we knew that it was something that we could do, and all the fears of, you know, finding a location, opening up, making sure the employees are straight. The way the studio looks, buying, supplies and inventory and all that stuff. It's something that has come because, again, you have to manage, and that's something that we're used to doing.
Yeah. You talked about vision board. Talk to me about that and the importance of a family, in your opinion, having a vision board. And, you know, because we know that whatever you focus on will expand or come to fruition. So talk to me about the vision board for your family.
So we definitely have a vision board. Now, I can't say that I haven't been as diligent this year as I have in several years, you know, past, but, you know, prior to us getting this business or opening this business, we had a vision board that we knew kind of what we were looking for. Even as far down as the cars we were looking for, the house, like what we wanted with our kids, like as far as college and that type of thing. And I remember, like, I can see it as plain as day, like on the vision board. It had Kika Stretch Studios. It had a location. It had leaving my current, or the employer that I was with at that point, by a certain date. Like, it had everything on there, and it all came.
It all happened.
Like, basically, it all came to fruition. Like, I think it's more about putting out positive and then getting that positive back, or the law of attraction, or however you want to say it. But we put it out there. I think, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but you have to kind of believe in it. And then to the point that we had our kids do vision boards, like, so just, I think I do need to get back on it because we have other goals that we want to reach. And, you know, but we have it up, it's hanging up in the hallway. Like, as soon as you walk in the house, like, it's right there. So we have it so you can see it.
Yep. No, I would say, like, I remember a friend of mine telling me about a vision board, you know, probably several years before we did ours. And maybe about a couple of years before we did ours. And when she was telling me about it, I was like, oh, okay, that sounds interesting, but it just not something that I was going to do. And so when she came home, she actually got a business mentor, that was very good. So I would highly recommend that, getting a business mentor. The business mentor told her about, manifestation of those things, of, the things that you want. And so as she started to build that board, I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is nothing different than when, me growing up and my father telling me, hey, if you want something, you got to work hard for it first, but you also got to make sure that you're asking God for it too, right? To give you the know-how and the know-about to keep you on the right path to getting those things that you want. And so there's really, a thin line, and there's a relation there with that. And so, so when she started doing it and I was all in, I was like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, let me put this on there. Let's put that on there. So, and it has, a lot of those things have come into play in our lives. And I'm just excited about, we do need to get back on it, because there's other goals. We're thinking about the next now. There's more things that we got to get done. Yeah, absolutely.
So Kika Stretch Studios, out of all the businesses out there, yes, I know you spoke about the fact that you guys were stretching, and that was almost like the foundation before you launched into business. But I think there's got to be a reason why you picked this business. What was it about this business that attracted you guys and you were like, this is it?
I think, for me, because when she was going through a lot of the things that she was going through at the time, and she talked about, me trying to help her with, the stress that she had going on, the tension in her body. For me, it was always about finding something that we enjoy doing, right? And so it was very interesting how it all happened. It didn't take long, because my first immediate search was my first thought was, okay, if we're going to do this, let's do a franchise. Because again, my research told me that, hey, if you want to get into business, one of the easiest ways to do that is to maybe get into a small franchise that can walk you through certain things, in the steps. And so the next thing that I looked up was, okay, I looked at franchises, and then I started looking at Black-owned franchises. This was in around 2019. This was a lot of time, around that time when a lot of things were going on in society at that time. And so my research in it was, okay, what are some of the Black-owned franchises that are out there? And I came to find that there were a lot, and that was inspiring, right? Oh. And so then, not long after that, I promise to you, it was not long when I put in that Google Black-owned franchises, that Kika Stretch Studios came up, and I was just like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, hold up. This can't be, like, we're stretching, we do this, and there's a Black-owned franchise? Like, I had no idea. And so that's when I told her about it, and she was like, oh, okay, all right. And I remember she was stressed out at the time that I told her about it, and it was kind of like it just went over her head. She's like, okay, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. And then later that night, I started showing her the website and the things, and she was kind of like, oh, okay, it hit her. And then I sent the message to Kika Stretch Studios about, getting in, and they sent the message back, and they asked if we could fly up. We flew up on a Saturday.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. So how long before you flew up did you?
When we found it wasn't long.
Like a month,
It may not even have been a month. It might have been like a few weeks. That's how it was like, okay, if we're going to do this, let's go. Like, let's go. I was all like, let's go. Because again, and for me, again, you're talking to somebody who's a visionary, right? So I'm seeing things. I'm seeing, okay, the studio. I'm seeing people come in. I'm seeing people feeling better. I'm seeing everything that we're doing at this point, and I'm like, okay, we got to go now. There's no other Kika Stretch Studios in North Carolina, so we got to go and do this. And it was June of 2019, and we flew up on that Saturday. Flew back on that Saturday, so it was the same day, turn and burn, right? And then, and on the plane back, we were like, yeah, we're gonna do it. Like,
This is incredible.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. And if it fails, it fails. I don't care. We're doing it. We're doing it. So and that's how it happened. That's how it happened.
That's great. So what should someone expect? I mean, you've got it now. You've got it established. What should someone expect when they come to Kika Stretch Studios?
Oh man, you mind if I?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead. You had something to say. Go ahead.
So first of all, I think the first thing that they should expect is good energy, because it's all about energy for us. It's a very calming atmosphere, it's a very relaxed environment. You know, you have essential oils, like the music is great. Like, it's a very intimate setting. So it's not like your typical, it's not like your typical place that you go, like, you know, and then there's not a lot of places where you can kind of go and be your authentic self. And when I say authentic, I mean, like, people come in and they are themselves. They come in and they let themselves go, and they feel comfortable in a space doing that. There's no judgment. Like, it's your own safe space.
I will mirror everything that she said. I think, you know, it was very intentional that our space be a place for people to come,
like an oasis.
An oasis. Like, it's supposed to be relaxing. And just to kind of elaborate on, you know, what she's talking about as far as, you know, a relaxing atmosphere and the vibe. If you think about stretching in itself is something where you're talking about tension. You're talking about something where it's pulling, right? And so you have to be in a relaxed mindset. And so part of that is the way things smell, the way things look, the way the colors, everything, the sound, everything. And so we're very intentional about that. And so and that's what a lot of people, when they come in, they're like, oh, it smells good in here. I just like the vibe, like, you know, and the energy here. But that also starts with the people that work here as well. And that's something that we're very intentional about as well. So we're all about the energy. If you think about what we do, everything that we do is about, all of our stretch coaches are actually placing their hands on the client's body and helping them through those stretches. And so I'm a firm believer that your energy as a stretch coach has to be right? Because you don't want to transfer anything over to someone else. And so everything about this environment is about breathing, taking in good, or taking in the good and exhaling the bad. And so that's what we tell our clients. It's taking in and exhaling, right? And breathing and making sure that we help them get that tension out of their body. So, you know, I think, you know, if to sum it up, you know, when you come in here, it's really about learning something new about you.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
It's a total experience. But I would also like to add that it's a family. So our coaches are our family, our clients are family. Clients that don't know each other, by the time they leave, their family, like, everybody is it's a well-oiled machine, I would say. Like, people really enjoy the clients that come in as well.
Typically the last person who for the evening that's getting stretched, they're typically here longer than they want to be, because they're talking afterwards. They're either talking to Sheris or talking to our stretch coaches. It's about, you know, again, it's about releasing. Sometimes they talk about, you know, just things that are going on in their lives. And that's something that we appreciate. Sometimes there are clients that come in and we'll give them a moment in the room by themselves just to kind of release. Sometimes we'll sit with them and practice breathing exercises with them. You know, it's really about trying to gain perspective in the inner, and then releasing everything that's negative out, right? And so that's something that you know, we're, like I said, we're just very intentional about when you come here to Kika Stretch Studios.
Oh, that's great. You talked a lot about energy. How do you ensure that, you know, when you talk about employees, that you attract that type of energy that you guys are giving out? Because it can be tough. if you're passionate about your business, how do you ensure that you're bringing people who not necessarily have to be passionate, but they have that same kind of energy? What have,
Mhm.
what have been some of the challenges, or even some of the learning experiences doing that?
I would say the biggest thing is a lot of our employees have been referrals. So they are referred by someone that either we know or like friends or that,
Mhm.
or they
They
start
came.
working here and then they referred somebody else to work here.
Mhm.
Or so that's typically the first is referrals. The second is their clients. So they came and they got stretched, and then they're like, "How can I work here?"
Yeah.
So I think we have like 3 of them, like
Right.
three clients that. So
Yeah, I mean, because again, I think that's a testament to what we're just saying. Is like, and to your question is like, how do you find those people? It's like more or less we are looking for them to find us, really, because not everybody's meant to do what we're asking them to do, right? Not everybody is meant to be counsel in a sense, right? Because you do have to counsel, and sometimes it's not even about words; it's about just your energy. And when you come in and you feel that, and it speaks to you, you want to, how can I be a part of this? That's what we get. We get a lot of people that say, how can I be a part of this? And so, so it has been tough though, because, staffing is probably one of the biggest, challenges that any business is going through right now, because no one's going to run your business like you run your business, right? I think all we ask is that if you could just give us 80% of what we would do, right? And then the other 20, ask us, how would you do it? Right. And then throw some in there yourself, and what you, and so we're always thinking about those things. And I think for the most part, when we think about challenges and things that we've learned, is that we have to think about the staff first, and staff comes first, right? And then everything after that should fall into play, right? We got to take care of our staff. We got to make sure that our staff is taken care of, and that's a challenge. That's definitely a challenge, because again, it's about business. We're in a business to make money. But also too, we're in the business to make sure that we make people feel safer, make sure that people feel better in their lives, and they're feeling better when they leave. So it's a happy balance in that when you're providing a service, that you got to find people that understand that concept. I will say this too, that when it comes to staffing and people working here, we've had a lot of great people come through our doors and to work here. Communication is something that you will find that most people are not good at. I will say that most people are not good at communication. And what happens is you have, as a business owner, you have to make that a priority. Communication has to be a priority, especially in the business that we're in. Meaning, if there is something that you're not liking, or something that you're not, it's not, you're not comfortable with in the studio or in here where you're working, you got to be vocal about it. But also as a business owner, you have to be open to that, and you have to make sure that you're asking those questions, that you're, setting that tone that, hey, this is not about hierarchy, but more about, just networking amongst each other. We're a team. And I think that's something that we learned in our jobs, in managing and being, program managers and working where we work. But not everybody has that. Not all staff go through that. They don't understand, personality traits. They don't understand, how they associate them, what they bring to the table, maybe a strength, and what they, and other things that they're bringing to the table might be a weakness to the whole studio, right? And to be able to tell them that, and to share that, and to be able to help people understand that, hey, every personality dynamic that you have is, it can be an asset or a liability, right? But also understand that, that everything that we're doing is about moving forward, and making sure that you're happy as a stretch coach, but also making sure that that feeds over to our clients.
Right.
So it's definitely something that's it's an art to it, but especially
we don't
now,
always get it right.
We don't always get it right.
Always get it right.
But one thing,
learn.
we learn, and one of the things that I know that we do is try to keep an open policy as far as, you know, communication, and making sure that, again, you know, if there's something that you're unhappy about or something that you want, if we can change it, we're going to change it. So, yeah.
That's great. You talked about taking care of your employees. How do you guys take care of each other? How do you guys take care of the kids? How do you guys, you're juggling all these hats, and you're taking care of your clients. Like, how do you guys manage all that? Let's talk about how you take care of yourselves individually. You take care of yourselves as a couple. You take care of the kids. How in the world are you guys doing all this?
You want that one? Good.
I think first of all, that's a great question.
We don't always do it.
And
that
I would
well
say
either.
That's something, and going back to what I was saying earlier, how owning a business it's like anything else. That thing that brings you together can also push you apart, right?
Yes.
And that's something that we always have to, you know, hold each other accountable with. Like, you know, I think the fact that we have a strong friendship helps. So when things aren't going, or when she needs me to take care of her, or vice versa, before the business, we've been vocal about that.
Okay.
Right. So if we need something from one another, that's something that we've been able to talk about. Even if you argue about it, we always come back and say, oh, well, you know, now that I process it, this is how I feel. This is what I need from you. But I will say that because of the business and the things, you're always thinking about the client, you're always thinking about your staff. You know, you can get sloppy with that, with taking care of each other. That's definitely something that can happen. And I think that that's something that we have to do better at. But we have a good foundation in that.
I think we just have to make time. So that's
make time.
That is the issue. Like, because we do work full-time jobs, 2 jobs, and then we have kids, and then like extracurricular activities as well. Like, it's just really about making time. So typically I would say Friday nights, like it'll be date night, or we'll do something where we don't have the kids. And then with them, like whatever it is that they want to do or whatever they like to do. So they like to go to the movies. Well, we like to go to the movies too. So like that may be it. Or maybe we take them somewhere. Like it's all about experiences for us. So like we try to include them in the culture, or include them in like the business. The business. Or like we try to do things to incorporate just being able to spend time. And, you know, I have 3 people in the house that like to play video games. So like, I just have to play video games. Like it's, you know, like, so that it's not always, it's definitely not always something that I want to do. So sometimes it's just, I'll watch them play, or, you know, but I'm just there. Or I like to watch movies. So the kids will come watch movies with me. So we just try to figure out what it is that we all like to do. And then that is how we get that quality time in.
Another thing too is like we try to I'll use an example. You know, we both have jobs where, you know, we work remote, and so we're at home with each other together a lot, right? So we do get to see each other. That's one thing. We see each other every day, all day. The other thing is making sure that we communicate about, like you said, what's needed. So because we work remotely, we try to take advantage of that as well. So sometimes our jobs have us travel. I'll use another example. Like recently, her job, you know, had her go to New York. New York City. So we were like, okay. So we were like, okay. All right. So if you're going to New York City, then I'm going too. I'm just going to work from the hotel. You know, I didn't get to see New York City like I wanted to. I saw it, but I didn't get to see it like I wanted to. But at the same time, we were there together. What we did get to see, we got to do it together. And so, you know, just trying to leverage those types of things too. Like, you know, if You know, if you got to go, if your job is
Seattle,
yeah,
I'm in Seattle.
yeah, she'll go to Seattle.
Yeah.
You know,
Boston,
and you know, if we got to travel, we try to. And even sometimes, and there's been a couple times where we've even brought the kids if they're available, you know, so they'll come up with her on the weekend. So just trying to make, you know, be creative in it, you know, and spending that quality time together is it's a job. It's a job in itself too. So we make it work.
One of the things I don't think too many people talk about, and I'm curious from each of you, self-care. What are you guys doing from a self-care perspective? You know, Sheris, what are you doing for Sheris, which is not a bad thing, you know, because I think self-care is important as individuals. What are some of the things that each of you do? You know, just give me one thing that someone can hear and be like, oh, okay, I may want to try that.
Oh, aside from sleep, because that's where my is. Like, nobody told me that after you have kids, you don't get sleep. And I like
right.
In my downtime, I like to I like to sleep in or just not have anything to worry about, like nothing on my mind. But other than that, like I have a great set of friends that, you know, I can, you know, go to, we can decompress, whether it's in the house or whether it's we're out to dinner somewhere. Like I definitely can say that that would be something that I do for self-care, just making sure that, you know, I'm still present and I'm still able to, you know what's going on so that I can be my best self.
Staying present is good. That's good. But I would say definitely sleep with her is high on that list. So, you know,
because I don't get a lot of it. Like I don't get a lot of sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How about you, Larry?
For me, I think it's man, you know, I try to be creative. Anything that I can do to be creative in that. Photography and videography has been my thing, but I haven't been able to do that like I used to because of the business, because of working, you know. And so that has been a struggle for me. So that's a great question. So just self-care right now it's been tough because one of the things that I want to do is, you know, get back to practicing what I preach to our clients, right? And that's more about, you know, mental health. And so I know for me, that has become high priority as I get a little older. I recognize the need for it. And so for me, mental health is at the top of the list, whether that be exercise. I love mountain biking, but I haven't been able to do it. So all the things that I do for self-care they consist of things. I love, you know, shooting firearms, you know, sports shooting, getting outside, doing those things. But I just can't, I don't get a chance to do it as much and as often as I'd like to. But I will say this. What?
I would say one thing that we do enjoy together is going to a spa. Like we definitely do enjoy
That's awesome.
Going to a spa. Just being in that space. Like where there's
matter of fact, we got to get that in.
Where people pamper to you. You know, people pamper you. People take care of you.
Yeah. You know, that's a great one. Now, I'll be honest with you. Before I met her, I had been maybe once. And so, but listen, for everybody that's listening, especially like the men, like if you got to go to a spa. Like let somebody take care of you, chill all day, and by a hot tub, pool, whatever, sauna, all those different things, massage, salt room, bathing, whatever. I'm telling you, it is definitely something that you absolutely need to do. But yeah, that's something that we do together, and I enjoy that. So we got to put that on the list of things to get done.
I think that and trying new restaurants, we enjoy.
Yeah.
We're foodies.
Oh yeah.
We're both
same here.
You know, that's interesting. Yeah, I would say that's something that we definitely do. Good wine and good food is something that has been something that we try to do at least once a week. After we have a, now that you say this, we actually have sort of I don't want to call it a ritual, but it's something that we do on Sundays. After we close, we go to a specific restaurant that we really, really like. That's not far from here, from the studio. We talk about business. It's sort of a debrief, right, of how the week has gone. Good food, glass of wine, and we talk about everything that needs to be done. Sort of like a business meeting, but it's also healthy for us to talk about, hey, what's going on with the kids? What's going on at work? What's going on
with you?
Yeah. So yeah.
I love that. Man, you guys, there's just so much gems that you guys have provided, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You guys, well, two things as we wrap up. The first one being, when you look back, like, what would you say you're most proud of?
I think I am most proud that we have been able to open up. Well, I think I'm most proud that we've opened up the studio, but we've been able to keep it open because, like, we're going into our third year. The first year, a lot of times businesses don't make it. So I think that being able to stay open, and then balance everything else that we have going on and still maintain a good foundation for us and our boys. I think that is very, very, that would probably be the thing that I'm most proud of, like that our boys can see that we're doing it. Like, we're not just saying, okay, yeah, you should do it, but they see us, and I don't want to say struggling, but they see us every day going to work, sometimes double work, like working multiple hours within the day. They actually see that, and then they, get to benefit or reap those rewards. So I think that that would be the one thing I'm most proud of, I would say.
Yeah, and I would say the same. I would kind of say the same thing too. And I think that because that was the intention, right? To build a foundation for our family. And so when I think about that question, I think for me, I'm most proud of, like she said, that we have been able to do it. Are we going to get, be millionaires because we did this? No, probably not, but it's a stepping stone to that. Right. And it's ours. Right. And we did it. So I'm most proud of that. I'm most proud of the fact that, my kids also get a chance to be here, like actually walk in here and say, hey, my parents had a business, when I grew up. I really, look to the future and for them to, when they grow up and they say, I remember going to, when you guys did this, or when, you opened up, your first studio. Yeah, your first studio, right? But I'm also thankful in that we have an immediate village. Yeah, we have a village. Yeah. So my mother, my father, her mother and father, and they help us out so much. So it's a part being proud, but I also have to think, I think it makes me think about how thankful and blessed I am too, to have, my mom, my father, and her mom, and some other immediate family to kind of, help us with that. So, and my kids, they get to spend a lot of time with their grandparents, so not a lot of people can get to say that. Yeah. So, so I think that's probably what I'm most proud of with this.
I love that. We did it. So the last question, what's on the horizon for Larry and Sheris Rice? Like, what's next, whether it's a business standpoint, travel, anything?
A vacation.
Yeah.
That's next.
Yeah, vacation. Definitely a vacation. We have been working very hard over the last several weeks. And weeks, months, years actually. But it's feel like it's gone by so fast. Yes. So because of that, I think I'm thinking about, okay, what's next? And from a business standpoint, is really just trying to expand what we've already built here, but also use what we've built here to find out what other ventures are out there. So I'm not just trying to build just a business or a stretch studio. I'm trying to build an enterprise, right? That's my vision. My vision is that we establish an enterprise. So that means, it's multiple different businesses that we have, real estate, whether that be real estate, owning other franchises, all of that, right? Counseling, but I think, so speaking of that, and I think that's the main thing that I've learned by working here and owning this business is that there is such a need for mental health services, especially in our community. And I think for me, that's something that I definitely want to sort of, highlight and bring to the forefront in any way that I can, the need for mental health services. So one of the things that we are planning on doing, from a business standpoint with the studio is expanding in that, wow. How can we take what we already have and expand that into something that leads or helps others with, just their, health and wellness in their lives, right? So again, this is a stepping stone to many, many different things, and there's a lot of different things on the horizon for us. So I'm excited about our future, and this has definitely been a stepping stone for it.
I'm excited as well. As you guys were speaking, something that stood out to me is you guys have this DNA of helping people. You talk about insurance, you talk about what you're doing now, you talk about mental health, which I think you guys are really working in your purpose, and I'm sure a lot of folks appreciate that. This has been a great conversation.
Hey, thanks, Anthony. Thank you. It has been. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
I thank you for putting this platform together, man. I really do.
No problem. How can people, when it comes to Kika Stretch Studios, how can they reach you guys? Where are you located in Charlotte? Tell us that before we wrap up.
So you can reach us at kikastretchstudios.com. Here's the card. I'll put that up there so everybody can see it. So that's where we're located. 1425 Winifred Street, Suite 108, Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a phone number, 704-953-0564. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn as well. So you got all the information right there that you need. Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, I really admire you guys, for what you've done. You guys are, as I mentioned, super inspiring. You're at the core great people. You always give out good energy, and I know you guys attract people with good energy. So we really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to, catching a meal or coming for a stretch soon with you guys.
Yeah, man. Come on back. Yeah, come on. We need you. We need you. Yeah.
Well, have a good night, and we'll definitely connect soon.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Yep.